Hey everyone, thank you for listening. I'm going to continue my research here on Chabad. I want to go over what this group actually believes, and for the record, I'm not talking about everyday Jays. This is a very specific sect, and they're ultra-orthodox. They're super right-wing. The positions of power that they seem to influence in the world are all right-wing regimes like Putin, Netanyahu, Trump through Jared Kushner. These are the people that really do take literally what they read in the Talmud, in the Kabbalah, and I just want to kind of go over what's in those books and what is their philosophy, because these are actually powerful people who influence the major players on the world stage, so we should know what they believe in. So, this book's titled, Who Was the Most Influential Rabbi in Modern History? And it's about Schneerson. He was the seventh and last rabbi of Chabad Lubavitch. And Rabbi Schneerson, his mentor and stepfather, was this guy, Yosef Schneerson. And this is his book, An End to Evil, Reishis Goyim Amalek. And it's literally about, this was the sixth Rebbe of Chabad Lubavitch. And it's literally about how they're going to kill all Goyim. I couldn't even make this up if I tried. Let's take a look at this book. And just so you know, Goyim and Amalek, that means people who are not Jays. So it is written, Goyim Amalek. Amalek is the first among nations, and in the end he shall be destroyed. The opening phrase means that Amalek is the source and root of the seven evil nations, the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, and so on, yet he is separate from them. The same is also true, though keeping in mind the distinction between holiness and opposite with regard to the forces of unholiness, which are collectively termed Kalipa. Amalek, personifying the toughest Kalipa, is the spiritual source and root of all those nations, yet he is distinct from them. The conclusion of the above verse, and in the end he shall be destroyed, seems to imply that the Kalipa of Amalek contains no element that can be salvaged by means of the divine service called birium, i.e. the sifting and refining of materiality by elevating the divine sparks embedded within the Kalipa of Amalek, so it would appear, cannot be rehabilitated into something positive. So, a lot of these ultra-Orthodox people, they believe in something called accelerated eschatology. And these are a lot of the fighters in the IDF. Let me give you an example of one of them in this video.
They call this operation the Swords of Iron. But what are we really fighting for? We're fighting for the right of the Jewish people to exist, be Jewish, practice their religion, and be free. And one day our true leader will come and we'll be united as a whole Jewish nation so we can rebuild the Beit HaMikdash.
All right, so notice how he mentioned that they're doing this so that their Messiah can come back and they can build the third temple. But what he did not mention there is that this entails destroying the Amalek, the Goyim, the people of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites. That just comes with the territory. So let's look at another page in this book. So this is Tikkun Olam, which is all about bringing in the world that they want to bring in. And this involves, as it says, Amalek and its utter eradication and destruction. This is hinted at in the verse, and in the end he shall be destroyed. Amalek's consummation is its destruction. A solution may be found in the verse, Ki Sam Lashashech. God has a set limit to darkness, i.e. he has limited the time during which the darkness of Kalipa will be permitted to derive nurture and sustenance from the leavings of holiness, from the most extrinsic level of holiness. When that time expires, the Kalipa will be utterly destroyed and annihilated, leaving no vestige of itself. And this connects to what we can also find in the Zohar, which is another one of their sacred holy books. Here it is. For that dish, by selling Jacob his birthright, Esau became a slave. He became a slave to his descendants and will not accuse because of the level of wisdom of Esau. Jacob dealt wisely with Esau everywhere so that Esau was unable to rule and was submissive. Jacob was not defiled by him, but ruled over him. So Jacob is the line of the Jewish people, and Esau is the Goyim. Let me show you a chart here. So this is a chart. So in the beginning, there's the 12 tribes of Israel, and they are the people of Jacob. We're over here, if you're a Goyim, Esau and Edomites. Edom is another slur like Goyim that people in Chabad use for us. And again, I'm talking about Chabad. I know Jewish people personally, and they've never heard of anything that I'm talking about here. So let's see what they say about Esau in the Talmud. Here we go. To eradicate the descendants of Esau, to the construction of the temple, and to the name of Messiah. Remember in the video, the guy said the IDF fighter is like, we're going to bring back the Messiah and construct the third temple. And that's what comes with it, according to the Talmud. which again is something that Chabad believes in literally. This isn't like a parable to them. They're ultra orthodox. And this should be concerning to people because this isn't some obscure branch. These people, Chabad, they influence Likud. Likud is Chabad, which is the political entity that's in power right now in Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu. Let me show you a video of Netanyahu talking to the last Rebbe, Schneerson, who they believe is the Messiah.
מה שישראל לאחרונה נמצאות מתצו כמה עניינים. מה שרואה עוד, וגם מצור שעדיין משיח ליבו, אז הייתה משהו ומה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגלל עדיין ליבו.
So yeah, to reiterate, Chabad believes that their final Rebbe, Schneerson, who was the seventh Rebbe of their sect, was the Messiah, and that he's still alive. Maybe some of you recall in my last video why the Chabad tunnels are sinister. I went over that. So they believe that this Rebbe Schneerson is still alive, and that he actually will re-show himself again once they build the third temple. So here's another passage from the Zohar. But at first Jacob received above only, and Esau received below. After King Messiah will arise. Jacob will receive above and below, and Esau will lose everything. He will have no portion and inheritance or remembrance in the world. For Esau will lose everything, and Jacob will inherit both worlds, this world and the world to come. So when you hear ultra-Orthodox Chabad members say things like, oh, we're going to bring peace upon the earth in this next coming age when the Messiah returns and we build the third temple, they don't tell you the part where Esau, the Goyim, we lose everything. Amalek loses everything and they get destroyed. They don't add that part, but that leads to peace in their eyes. Let's look at a page from the Talmud. This one's really disturbing. Isaac said before the Holy One, blessed be he, master of the universe. Let favor be shown to Esau, my beloved son. God said to him, Esau is wicked. Isaac said to God, yet will he not learn righteousness? There no one who can find merit in him? God said to him, in the land of uprightness he will deal wrongfully, meaning that he is destined to destroy Eretz Israel. Isaac said to God, if it is so that he is that wicked, he will not behold the majesty of the Lord. And Esau, in the Talmud here, is translated to Germania. So they're specifically talking about the German people as Esau. And many ultra-Orthodox members, they take the Talmud literally. And they literally believe that it is their right and their duty to destroy the German people. And this is an old text. And this text has shaped their culture. So this is an ancient feud that's existed between the Germans and the ultra-Orthodox. This has existed for a long time. It didn't just start in World War II. So let's go over this book, The Messianic Idea in Judaism, written by Gershom Shalem. And this guy was appointed the first professor of Jewish mysticism at Hebrew University of Jerusalem. This guy is an honored scholar of the Kabbalah and the Talmud, Jewish mysticism in general. And it says right here that Shalom gathered and reassembled these sacred texts. So it's not like he's just analyzing these things as, oh, it's just some text from history, arbitrary, just interesting to look at. Like, he believes they're sacred. So let's see what he writes in his book. He writes in his book, the Gentiles, who are designated Esau or Edom, will suffer the opposite fate. They will depart from the light gradually until Israel shall grow strong and destroy them. And when the spirit of uncleanliness shall pass from the world and the divine light shall shine upon Israel without let or hindrance, all things will return to their proper order, to the state of perfection, which prevailed in the Garden of Eden before Adam sinned. So yeah, the ultra-Orthodox, which is a very specific group, they believe that once Edom and Esau are all dead, they'll have their perfect world. Let's read another page. Here we see it, that word again, tikkun. This is from Tikkun Olam. It's their sense of duty to change the world. And it says, all Gentiles are referred to as profane and kalipa. Israel alone is called sacred. All the other nations are profane. And I went over in my last video how Berel Lazar is the official rabbi of Russia. He's Putin's right-hand man. And that guy is an ultra-Orthodox Chabad member. So that guy is extremely influential in Russia. And these are the kind of things that guy believes. Here's another page from this same book. As long as the last divine sparks, nitzadzat, of holiness, do you like how I do my best to pronounce these? Of holiness and good, which fell at the time of Adam's primordial sin into the impure realm of the Kelipot, the helic forces of evil, whose hold in this world is particularly strong among the Gentiles, have not been gathered back again to their source. And I've gone over this channel what helic means. That's from ancient Greece. That was the ancient Greece word for NPC. So it's basically saying how the force of the NPC is strong amongst the Goyim. Oh, wow. Okay, this is kind of bad. I see myself agreeing with the Talmud. That's not good. All right, I see your point. I see your point. Maybe it's kind of true, but that doesn't give you the right to exterminate everybody. And let's finally look at a page from the book Redemption Through Sin, which is about Sabbatai Zevi and Sabbatean Frankism, which was a movement during the 1700s where it was a Sephardic movement that was huge, where half of Judaism actually practiced this, where they believed in redemption through sin, where they get closer to God through sinning as much as they can. And that included the absolute worst sins you could possibly imagine. So this is from a Frankist writer in that time period in Prague, who said Israel's exile is not a consequence of its sins at all, but is rather part of a plan designed to bring about the destruction of the Kelipot, which is Edom, Esau, Amalek, all over the world. And Chabad is heavily influenced by Sabbatean Frankism. Even though Chabad is more Ashkenazi, Sabbatean Frankism has its roots in the Sephardi. But both of these groups believe in this idea of accelerated eschatology, tikkun olam, the importance of wiping out Amalek. And you can see this play out in modern times. Like now in the war in Israel, it's spearheaded by the Likud party, by Benjamin Netanyahu, who again they're the far right political party that controls Israel. And Netanyahu has said before in speeches, we need to wipe out Amalek. He refers to the Palestinians as Amalek. And they say, we are fighting human animals. There are no rules. We will kill them all. So this mentality is alive and well with the far right Israelis. And people are starting to see these patterns and connect the dots. And for those who can see, we're being humiliated by the press and they're gaslighting us. For example, USA Today. Only dirt and tools found in New York tunnel, not mattresses or booster seats. Fact check. Even though in that video it clearly showed mattresses and booster seats. And some anonymous poster, they sum this up really well, saying, the purpose of propaganda, at least in its late stage form, is not to inform you or deceive you or even manipulate you. It's to humiliate you. Its purpose is to be so outlandish, so ridiculous, and so blatantly untrue, and yet totally undeniable in order to reinforce the power of the state. The Soviets referred to this as hyperrealism. That is, the state of everyone saying things that are completely false, and that they know to be false, but which they cannot deny. The supermarket shelves are empty and bread lines stretch around the corner, but the newspapers report that the year's agricultural quotas have been exceeded once again, and then everyone is forced to repeat this lie, and thus they become complicit in it. It is a system of total social humiliation and control. Because the lines have pretty much been drawn. It's like there's the people who want no part of this, that's the masses. They're like, hey, I'm not going to look at this stuff. I'm staying out of it. I'm not even paying attention. Then it's the regime, the people in power, like right here, and then there's us, the people who see what's going on. So these sort of news articles, they're basically geared to us to say, what are you going to do about it? We're going to tell the masses what they want to hear. They'll believe it. And you're just going to impotently post on Twitter about it. And that's the way it is, they're saying basically. What are you going to do about it? I'll tell you what we're going to do about it. Nayib Bukele, president of El Salvador. He says Philosopher King on his Twitter, which is what we need. Plato said it himself. The best rulership is with a philosopher king. If your rulers are not philosopher kings, then you need to replace them. It's that simple. I mean, if your rulership, if they're not philosophers, they should be replaced. They need to be. Plato said that an aristocracy centered around a philosopher king would cure Greek decadence and make the world safe for philosophy, for intellectuals. Like Nietzsche said, democracy is incapable of creating anything of cultural worth. Look at what Bukele tweeted. Power is either vested in kings or it inevitably ends up with the merchants. Because the thing is, you're always going to have a centralized control structure. In democracy, it's smoke and mirrors. You can't really tell who's in charge, but it's pretty obvious. It's a small group of people that are really pulling the strings. At least in a monarchy or an aristocracy, we can see who's holding the reins. Because everyone right now in America, whether you're left or right, we all know that Joe Biden is not running things. But if we had a king, we wouldn't be dealing with that issue. I mean, look at what's been going on in El Salvador. It used to be the murder capital of the world. Now it's the second safest country in the Western Hemisphere. How did Bukele do it? He cracked down on crime and jailed more than 65,000 gang members. El Salvador now has the world's highest incarceration rate by far and a national homicide rate that's down by 92%. His approval rating now stands at 90%. This has happened a lot throughout history, where someone comes to power, they do mass incarceration that totally flips society on its head with crackdowns like this, and their approval rating soars through the roof when, like, the journalistic class in this country will tell you that someone like this would be hated, they'd be a despot, it would be terrible. But that's not what history shows us. That's not what the current age shows us. The Bukele model can and should be replicated everywhere. It works. And it's getting to that point. I mean, look at what's happening at the border. Border showdown. Texas must give feds access by January 18th or else, says Biden admin. Well, they still haven't done it, and America is cheering Greg Abbott on. We don't like liberalism anymore. It failed. America has been a grand experiment from the beginning. Originally, the experiment was, what if we took all the most adventurous and industrious white Europeans from every European country and brought them here and see what they could build? That was the first experiment. Then the experiment was, let's see what would happen if we tried out liberalism. And that failed. The first experiment worked out great, but the second experiment in America totally failed. Abjectly. So it's time for something new. Something new is on the horizon, and the phoenix is rising from the ashes, and we're starting to see it. Because the people who make up Biden's admin, they are not popular amongst the people. Especially this Mayorkas guy. All right, that about ends the video here. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and join my community on Telegram. Thank you for listening.